Welcome to the Read Your Keys podcast. I am your host, Joel Lopez. If you're enjoying the content, please go ahead and like, subscribe, follow to iTunes, Spotify. We're on YouTube. Go and squish that like button or follow, subscribe button on YouTube. Today, my guest is Mr. Jeff Putnam. He is a fitpreneur, author of Empire Divided and The Perimeter. You can find him on Twitter at Rugged Legacy and also on Instagram. His website is jeffputnamauthor.com. Also runs the Perimeter podcast and a fellow wifosexual, Mr. Jeff Putnam. Welcome today, brother.
Hey man, thanks for having me on. And the Twitter at is the same as the Instagram. It's at rugged_legacy.
Rugged_legacy.
Yeah, some jerk face got the other one. So
Why did he take it?
I don't know. It's some like Korean account, and it just says at rugged legacy. It's got one tweet.
You can't buy it off him. It's like, hey man, let me hit you with 20 bills real quick.
I never bothered, man.
No. So I wanted to have Jeff on. Jeff is I mean, you even said it yourself. You can't be pigeonholed. You're not right. You're not left. You're just a dude that thinks his own thoughts, and I enjoy that about you. One of the cool things about Jeff, for me, I'm a big family man. Jeff is the father of 9 children, and I always thought that was super cool. And it makes me want to ask. I was like, hey, Jeff, are you Mexican or are you Mormon, brother?
Dude, I get that question all the time, especially with my beard. They go, "Are you a Mennonite?" No. Are you Mormon? No. My wife's Catholic, though. That explains it. My wife's just a little Hispanic woman who grew up just outside of Boston, so you can't get more Catholic than that.
Is that where you're originally from? Because I thought you were from South Carolina.
No, I'm from South Carolina. My wife, she's from all over. Her father was a military guy.
Oh, so that's how you guys ended up crossing paths.
Yeah, we met down here, and then we moved out, west for a while. Then I didn't like the desert whatsoever.
Where did you move to?
We were living out in West Texas, and
Texas,
I worked for a company. It was a construction company. I was a project superintendent, and I spent a lot of time in Phoenix, Flagstaff, Albuquerque, Tucson, all the Albertsons grocery stores out there. I actually remodeled all of them back in the early 2010s, and I didn't like being on the road, and I didn't like being in the desert. It's cool at first when you've never been to the desert, and then you end up, no, man, I got to go back to where there's lakes and trees and it's green. So came back here to South Carolina.
Well, yeah, I mean South Carolina is well, I've never been out there, but I'm originally from California, so the desert was a big change for me. For us, it was, well, you can spend $500,000 for a little shack in the hood, or you can move out to Arizona and get yourself a brand new house and have space and raise a family. So it was like, okay, we'll go ahead and head out then instead. But I didn't know that you ended up this far west. Did you like Flagstaff at least? So Flagstaff, to me, Flagstaff is like, oh, that's nice over there for us.
It was cool. It was just the environment with the company, man. I worked 3 weeks, and then I'd get 2 days to go home, and then work 3 weeks, and then 2 days to go home. And so when you get a pregnant wife and your kids, they're all, 7 and 10 hours away. It's like, I get to see them, 2 days every 3 weeks. It sucked. So that kind of tainted my view of Arizona. The only cool thing we ever did in Arizona was drive out to Tombstone on a whim. We just woke up one morning and said, like, we're either going to go to Carlsbad Caverns in New Mexico, or we're going to drive all the way to Tombstone. What do you want to do? So we just flipped a coin. I ended up going to Tombstone, spent the entire day there, day drinking, and had a good time. But
yeah,
that brightened the image of Arizona for me.
So you were out here by yourself. They weren't out here with you then.
No.
They were in Texas.
Yeah, and then the only time they ever came to Arizona with me was on those little day trips and stuff. But
yeah,
it sucked. It was a night shift job too, because the grocery stores were still open. And so
Yeah.
we had to do all of our work at night, get cleaned
Overnight.
up, get everything shoved into the Connex, and then back to the hotel. And
You know
hotel
what?
living sucks.
I think this is not because this is actually one of the things that like the main reasons I wanted to speak to you was so you have at this time 4 or 5 kids already when you're working this job.
No, we had 7
Okay,
or 8.
so
7.
you have 7 kids and you have this job, and I'm assuming it pays the bills at least, right? Like
Oh, yeah.
everything is good. Is it a lucrative job or just like a hey like this is like everything is good, like everybody's good financially, like the kids have
Oh, it was
food to
good,
eat?
man. We had the nice place, I had the company truck, the company phone, you know, but that was part of why I wanted to leave that job is it was so demanding and I never got time with my family.
Right. But so from my standpoint, like you're the provider and you're able to provide.
Hmm.
Everybody is good,
Oh yeah.
right? But you're paying the price for it. You're not seeing your kids because a lot of it too is like, hey, as a man, I will pay that price because my kids can do their activities, like the mortgage is taken care of, the cars are paid for, like everything is good. And if I leave this job now, then I can lose all of that and, potentially take either food from my kids or opportunities from them to do like extracurriculars, all that stuff. Like, was that stuff that went through your mind too before making that switch or making that leap?
Not really. It was just one of those I'll find something else.
Uh-huh.
This is the desert and there's construction going on everywhere. I can just find a different company.
Uh-huh.
That was the thought in my head. Didn't work out that way. But 'cause it was post the 28 collapse, the 2008 collapse, right? And so
Uh-huh. Yeah.
nobody was hiring anybody. I ended up working one of those work today, get paid today jobs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, those sucked. Did that for like 2 years because
Uh-huh.
couldn't find anything making more than minimum wage, and so I just got a job as a temp day laborer on local construction sites and did that for 2 years.
That was back in South Carolina.
No, no, that was still back out in Texas.
So in Centex. So did you have your house and everything there still?
No, it was gone. We
It
couldn't
was
pay
gone.
for it,
Yeah.
but
So did you guys have to? How did you guys have to let that go, or did you guys sell it and then? Because this is 2008, so I guess it depends on when you bought that, right? So if you bought that from like '05
oh, so
to like,
we didn't own it out there. We were renting.
oh, you were renting it anyway.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so we couldn't
Oh, okay.
afford to keep it, and so we
Oh,
ended up
okay.
moving into a freaking motel.
Okay.
That's how
And you did
bad
that.
things got.
Yeah. How? I mean, I think about that because I've heard that you've I don't know if you showed a thread or if I might have heard it on a podcast where you had kind of discussed that. I mean, like that must have been really hard, man. I mean, you had 7 kids in the motel, so you
One
guys
one on the way.
and one on the way. Wow, yes. And then do you have the 2 kings, and you guys are just one of those, or just like the one king?
No,
And
I mean I was making $56 a day,
uh huh,
and so it was a cheap little one bed motel room. I slept on the floor.
uh huh,
You know, we had the playpen ready for just in case the other kid came along,
uh huh,
and I was working on a day laborer ticket, swinging a sledgehammer, busting concrete, and
uh huh.
a demo crew. Because we would take all the old concrete. It was for a subcontractor. What they did is they went to different spots and where they were doing demo, we would bust up the old concrete and then they would recycle it and turn it into gravel,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or get it over to a gravel plan. So I was just making big chunks of concrete into small chunks of concrete after the forklift would come by with the jackhammer bit on the front and bust them up. And then we shovel it all into a hopper and they would get trucked off. So it was a lot of fun. It's
Yeah.
character building, I'll tell you that.
So were you were you content at this time?
No, hell no, I wasn't content.
Well, I don't mean content like because of the money, but I mean, were you the main reason you did it was to spend time with your family? Now you guys are all piled up in a motel room.
I mean, it left like a sour taste in my mouth, but it's one of those. There's no damn point in looking back,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, you can't go, well, let me go unmake this decision because once I left the other company, they filled my spot. I was a project superintendent on like 9 projects,
Mm-hmm.
so they needed something somewhere else.
Mhm.
And you can bitch about it or you can just keep rolling. And so
Mhm.
I just did what I had to do. And then eventually, my wife's sister came back from the Middle East, and my wife and kids moved in with her. I took the money we had, came out here to South Carolina,
Mhm.
back where I'm from, and started rebuilding with. Because I mean, it's like the man. People always talk about the Midwest is like the manufacturing capital of the world, but right now it's South Carolina. We build everything here, and so it was
Really?
easy to just walk into a job. I worked at McDonald's for a month going through the hiring process for the company that I ended up with for almost 7 years. And the hiring process was, you have to show up, do your drug test, then you got to go take your physical, and then you have to do the interview and the orientations. And it took like a month to get hired on, but I ended up making really good money for this company called Lear.
Mhm.
And they make the seats for BMW and they make the seats for
Okay.
Volvo. And both of those plants are here in South Carolina.
Oh, okay.
The Volvo plant came later, but at the time it was just BMW. And I only worked there for 3 weeks, and I had enough money on those three paychecks because we got paid weekly there to come all the way back to West Texas, pick up my wife and my kids in a uh, new to me expedition and drive us across the country back here to South Carolina in the place we're living now. It
That
was a
fast, huh? So the
it was
property.
a good paying job, and the cost of living down here, because there was such a high demand for people working in these manufacturing fields. It was like, hey, you're only going to pay $700 a month on this house. I'm like, let's go. I'm making more than that in a week. Let's
How
do this.
how big's the house over there, if you don't mind me asking?
I mean, this house was built in 1947, so it was built around the mill that they had here back in the 40s, the cotton mill.
Mhm.
And so it was a very big subdivision back, in the 40s and 50s when the mill was like running hot.
Mhm.
And now it's down to like 9 houses, and it's I wouldn't say it's a ranch style home, but it started off as like a 1 bedroom, and you can see
The
over the years
additions.
where people have added onto it and built
Yeah.
onto it as families
Yeah.
grew.
Uh-huh.
And so I mean, it's pretty good size. Everybody's got their own spot and space, and we've got the complete yard, fenced in, enough room for the kids and the dogs to run. So I like it.
And
And
that
then
but
we've got kids constantly moving out too as they're
yeah.
growing. So
Yeah, I think that's interesting that the because I don't think of this, is it the South or South Carolina specific where the manufacturing is really picking up? Because if you think manufacturing, like, yeah, I would say Midwest is where my mind would go to. Not,
I mean, it's a
but I
lot
would.
of places down here,
Mhm.
but I think majoritively it's just South Carolina.
Yeah.
Had something about to fall off my shelf over here.
Well, I think one of the cool things about Twitter is just like you got to see what people kind of share, and I saw, like, I was like a fly on the wall in like a conversation. I think it's between you and Zach and
Which Zach?
Small.
Okay.
Sorry, yeah, you got to say which one. Yeah, Zach Small. And you guys were talking about, like, in the morning, how you light a fire every morning at the in the morning. Yeah, you light a fire. You're just kind of like, hey, it's whether it's rain or shine, you light a fire.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, because I always thought of fire, something like at night, like a roasted marshmallows or whatever. And so I was like, oh, that sounds kind of cool, actually. I'm gonna go in and light a fire in the morning. And it was really nice because, like, I have 4 kids, not quite as many as you, but it's like, oh, that was like my time to have something for myself. It's quiet, so I don't have my phone nearby or anything like that. So I'm just like hanging out by the fire, like, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, and it's like, everything is quiet, and I think that's really cool. Just like that the things that you share and other people share, it's like, oh, it's a little thing, right? It's like it didn't cost me any money or anything. It was just a little thing, but it's like one of those small things. It's like this is something that I think has improved my life or just added to my life. And I just think those little things that people share are so cool if you're willing to kind of pick up on them. It's like, oh, I never thought about that. That's kind of a cool thing. Let me try this out.
Yeah, for me, it started back when I was working a 9 to 5. Before I went tits up with COVID and they laid 250 people off, from the job. And
Hmm.
I was, I'd already had my company, Rugged Legacy, and I had already been doing some online business coaching and ebook writing and selling. Like the only time I would ever have a chance to go and work out was at 4 a.m. because I had to go to work by 7 a.m. and I wouldn't get
Hmm.
off till 7 p.m. And it's certainly after 12 hours on your feet, in a factory on concrete floors, you don't want to go to the gym after that.
Mm-mm.
Not only that, my
Yeah.
wife had been home for 12 hours by herself. And
Hmm.
so it would suck for me to come home after 12 hours, grab my gym stuff. Hey, I'll be back in an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Go to the
Yeah.
gym.
Yeah.
So the best time for me to be, getting my workouts in was um, when everybody else was asleep.
Hmm.
And so I would get up, 3:40, just like I do now, go to the gym, come back by 5, get ready, go outside, light a fire on the patio. You know, back then it was smoke a cigarette and chill out and just sit
Hmm.
there. Now I smoke my pipe, drink some coffee,
Hmm.
and sit there until the sun comes up, which is cool. We do that now, but my wife's coming to the gym with me now at 3:40 in the morning. So,
How's that been? I mean,
oh
it might not be that hard, right? Because like you have, waking up for feedings and stuff like that. You're kind of used to waking up.
yeah, I mean, our youngest is 6, and we've got 3 teenagers in the house, so they're usually up late because we
Hmm.
homeschool them, so we don't really
Yeah.
jump on that hard about you make sure you're in the bed before the sun comes up,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
especially in the summer. And it's just, hey, we're going to the gym. We'll be back in an hour. All right.
Yeah. Make sure the 6-year-old doesn't do anything crazy.
Well, I mean, it's 4 a.m. You better not do anything crazy,
Yeah, right, right, right.
right?
But if they wake up with, whatever,
Yeah,
with the
doors
bed,
are all locked and
yeah, nightmares,
yards gated and fenced in and all this other, so we're good. And so we go to the gym and come back. My wife will start her routine, with her rice avocado mask and all that other, and I'm just sitting outside, tiki torches flaming, and usually just sitting there with my laptop writing. It's a cool little existence, man. I like it.
Hmm. How long has that been? Because I remember following, and you had mentioned that you were having some issues at the 9 to 5. Has it been a year?
It's been over a year. It
A
was
little over a year now?
July 1st was the last day that I worked there of
Oh, so
2020.
it's just a little over a year now because we just, yeah, okay.
I've been a year and a month.
And then, the Rugged Legacy, that's pretty interesting that you were already doing that. So, were you funding that stuff with your 9 to 5 money, or was
Yeah,
it so you
I
you
took
funded
I took
Go
all
ahead.
of our savings that we had, and I told my wife, I have an idea for a business, so I'm just gonna spend all this money on it.
Mhm.
And she goes, okay.
Yeah.
And I just was grinding really hard on that. Come home from my 9 to 5, and then stay up till like 11, 12 at night on this crappy $99 laptop that I had.
Mhm.
You know, plugging away, putting this in, fixing this, trying to figure out how to make a website on Wix. You
Yeah.
know, yeah,
And we're not the website making generation either, right? Like
no.
like, I'm like, "I don't know what the hell I'm doing." It's like, "Oh, it's easy. It's just drag and drop." Like, "Drag and drop what, brother?" Like, I don't
I mean, I could do it. I mean, I'm the MySpace guy, right?
Oh, you are?
Okay, so this is just like MySpace. I can just put this picture in the background, put this here. I can play, and then whatever I didn't know how to do, I was Googling. But yeah, I was grinding hard on that for like, I think I was putting in 100 hours a week, total
Oof.
between my job and trying to build rugged legacy.
Did your kids help you at all with that?
I mean, we try to get them involved with it. Hey, help us pick out the names of the products. Help us,
Mhm.
which scent profile do you like better? My wife was uh, invaluable during that time because I'm a dude. My wife's like, oh, this has vetiver and all kind of other stuff. And I'm like, I don't know what the hell that is,
Yeah.
man. What the hell
Uh-huh.
does vetiver smell like?
What? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so we're mixing scents and all this other. And she's like, oh, no, no, no. Vetiver and black pepper and citrus. And then I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
let's go.
Yeah. I'm the same way. Like I have like no sense of smell. It's like, hey, can you smell this? If this is good, I was like, I don't think I'm the one that should smell if this is good because I have a terrible sense of smell.
Yeah.
Like
And
I'm
I'm the
blowing.
same way with colors. There's only like 6 colors that exist. If it's not on the Roy G. Biv, it's whatever.
Uh
And my
huh.
wife will be like, "Oh, it's kind of like a mauve taupe." I'm like, those are just made up words. Just I don't care. Just pick it.
There was a tweet and it was like this woman had two fingernails and they were both purple, but one was like a smidgen off of purple. And I was talking to Joseph Smith and I was like, yeah, man, look at these purples. They're both the same. He's like, I did tattoos, man. Don't that one is this shade of purple. I was like, man, it's both purple, man. Stop playing, man.
I love Joseph. He and his wife and his kids. We hosted them at our house last Christmas. They drove all the way up from Mississippi. When the governors were all saying no travel during the
Uh-huh.
holidays, they
Uh-huh.
came up from Mississippi and they stayed with us over Christmas. And we, of course, traveled and went out adventuring with them for the couple of days they were here before they went on up to see his wife's family in North Carolina.
Yeah, there was the tweet that you guys shared is like, oh, we went out to the restaurant and I was like, dude, how many tables did you guys need between you two families, man? Or how many cars too?
It was two of the long tables, right?
Uh-huh.
The long like 6-person tables. We had two
Yeah.
of them, but three of my boys didn't come with us because they're teenagers,
Mhm.
and they were all piled into my son's car, and they came out to breakfast with us, and that was great. They had like
Uh-huh.
6 tables all put together,
Yeah.
at the breakfast spot we took them to, but it was I think it was like $140 worth of breakfast for everyone, and that was on diner food prices.
Mhm. That's not bad, man.
It's
I
not
think I
too
spent
bad, but the
no.
spot we go to, it's like I can get an 8 egg omelet for $4. So it was a
No
lot of
way.
food.
Is that South Carolina? Because I mean, I'm Arizona. They always say like, "Oh, it's cheaper," but it's like I feel like we're California light almost now. It's like the things don't seem as cheap, man.
Yeah, it's
Eight
just that good
omelets.
greasy spoon diner food that
Yeah.
everybody likes around here. It wasn't
Oh
at
man,
Denny's, because Denny's is
man,
trash. But
you posted a picture of a filet mignon burrito the other day, and I
oh
was
yeah,
like,
that was great.
Jeff, I am a burrito eating people, and I have never thought of putting a filet mignon in
And
the
it was
burrito.
tequila soaked filet.
I didn't know they were getting down like that in South Carolina, though,
Yeah,
Jeff.
it's a spot over here called Tipsy Taco, and we actually took Joseph and his wife and family out to dinner there. We all ate in the tequila room where there's like
Uh-huh.
hundreds of bottles of tequila all over the wall. You just point and say, "I want that one."
Uh-huh. One of the things that I've noticed, and you just kind of showed this recently, man, is you posted a picture of you from a year ago, and you looked fit, but now you looked jacked, like like American History X jacked up, man. But you saw a Latina, you're like, nah, I don't want that part of it.
Yeah, like I can do without the curb stomping part.
Yeah, right, 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 right. But I was like, dude, you really, you like, dude, you can see his biceps right now. He's got the Mike Tyson bicep coming up right now.
Dude, man, I've always been like a small frame dude, right?
Uh-huh.
And when I was working at this 9 to 5, for the company that made the seats for BMW, it was like I see all these young dudes and they're buff, right? I'm like,
Mhm.
I can't let this happen. So
Mhm.
I started training, and then I fell in love with training. So
Did you ever play any sports or anything like that coming up?
I did cross country and track, you know,
Oh, okay.
the skinny guy thing.
Yeah.
I played a little bit of football in middle school, but not much, and then
Yeah.
baseball. But
I thought that was required in the South, man, so you just
dude,
skipped out on that.
baseball and football are religions down here, and
Yeah.
I'm a heretic because I
Yeah.
don't really give a crap about
Yeah.
football. Like I can't watch it and enjoy it.
No.
I mean, I can
I'm
watch college ball just because there's so much more energy there.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah.
even then, it's just like if I don't watch the game, I don't care.
Mhm. I'm the opposite. I'm from the West Coast, and I'm like a college football, like, nut. You'd be like, like, I always say, like, I should have been born in the South. Like, I love Jesus, I love barbecue, and I love football. Like, it's like,
You're
what
really
am I
from
doing over
Texas,
here?
aren't you?
Yeah, really, really. Yeah, I was talking to Brandon Goswick about that. I was like, man, I should really be over there. But I'm a West Coast kid, so
Yeah, it's a
yeah.
religion here, man. There's the cult of Clemson and the cult of the
Mhm.
Gamecocks over here.
Yeah, yeah. Clemson is nuts.
And I don't live too far from either, so I get the worst of both worlds, just like the fanatics driving down the road with
Uh-huh.
like 37 flags hanging off
Yeah,
their car. It's like,
yeah.
good Lord.
Come on now. I don't know. That seems fun to me because I think as much as as much as it's kind of silly. I think it's nice to kind of see people rally around something at least, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing. I mean, in there in South Carolina, like, yeah, you have that division, but it's like they're kind of rallying around college football, and I think over
It,
here on
it,
the
it
West.
gets nuts too, man. It's kind of like, in Texas, they have the Battle of I-10, where it's the,
Hmm.
was it the Aggies and the Longhorns?
Hmm.
And we used to go and check those out, and it would be insane. But here it's just on a whole new level. It's like Joel Osteen versus um, versus whatever the other mega church weirdo is.
TD Jakes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And they're just like what was that West Side Story with each other. They're just in the
Uh-huh.
parking lot squared off. It's insane.
um, I haven't read your books yet, but I remember you had written the book. It was it leading your wife? Is that what
Hmm.
it was called?
Yeah.
When did the book writing stuff come up for you? Is were you kind of always kind of like a guy that had thoughts or just really like to read? Because for me, I'm like I'm not a writing guy, man. Like I barely liked tweeting, but now that I like tweeting, it's like, oh, maybe I'd get into
I mean,
writing
if you can
eventually.
write, if you can write tweets, you can write a book. You just have to write a bunch of tweets about the same thing. You know,
And if you follow me, you know that they're kind of all over the
yeah,
place,
they
man.
are
It's like
all
I
over the place, but those can be different chapters, right?
yeah.
But no, I always had this like romantic view of what a writer was.
Mhm.
When I was a kid, like because I
Mhm.
love Jack London. Jack London is probably one of the
Mhm.
greatest writers ever.
Call the Wild White Fang, right?
Dude, The Road was
Oh, hits him
fan.
too?
Oh yeah,
Oh, I didn't know
I
that.
mean, I've got. I think I have every single one of his works. Seawolf. I've got all of them on my phone here
Mhm.
on Audible. But I always had this like romantic idea between him and Hemingway. Old Man and the Sea and all this other
Mhm.
of what a writer's life was because London he traveled around riding the rails like a hobo and he was just
Mhm.
pounding away in his little pad or whatever. And Hemingway is freaking Hemingway. He kind of reminds me of Robert Duvall's character in Secondhand Lions, where he's like, I fought in the desert, I rescued the princess from the
Mhm.
Arabian castle, and I flew
Mhm.
these planes, and then I sailed over here.
Mhm.
He kind of reminds me of that kind of guy. And so I always had this romanticized image of what a writer's life was, which was basically me on a sailboat, drunk like Hemingway, holding a machine gun, shooting barracudas with a typewriter.
Yeah.
you know, and I wanted that because it just always seemed really cool.
Mhm.
And yeah, writing was something I always wanted to do. I dreamed about being like a travel writer, and I'm just going to travel the world and write. And then I'm like, I don't want anything to do with that particular
Mhm.
aspect of it. But I do like writing. I do like reading.
Mhm.
Um, and then I think it was Jose Rosado. He uh, he had put out that course, How to Write Your First Ebook in 7 Days. And I was like, all right, cool, I'll get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like 3 days later, I had an ebook, and I was like, holy shit, this works.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, oh, so it's this easy. I can just follow this exact formula for everything.
Yeah.
And it, the ebooks came out, and then I still wanted a paperback. And so it was December of last year. I said, I think it was like December the 10th. I tweeted out, uh, in 2021, I'm going to have a paperback. Well, by February 2021, I had finished and published my first book, Empire Divided. And then I immediately started writing my second, which was The Perimeter. And I think Empire Divided took me 35 days to finish writing it. And then,
The
like,
rough draft?
no, writing it. I was like, I wrote it. That's it. I ran it through Grammarly, and I ran it through Hemingway app, and everything kind of looks good. Screw it,
Uh-huh.
publish. And people like it. It's got like 33, 34 reviews on Amazon,
Nice, man.
like 4.5 stars. People like it. Some
Yeah.
people just straight up hate it. They're like, "Oh, this is trash and it's poorly written." I'm like, "I don't care. Just don't read it." You
Yeah.
know, some people like it, some people won't. I think every Stephen King book is poorly written. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, I think people will get stuck on the minute things like, "Hey, man, did you get the message or did you get the overall, like, feel of
A,
it?" And
a lot of it is it's very anti-politically correct too, and it pisses
uh
people off. So I don't care. And some
yeah.
people don't like me. I don't care.
I think that
Whatever.
I really like that about you. I don't think you and I you know what? It's not that you, because you don't do it intentionally. Like, you it was just like, "Hey, this is who I am." And
Yeah.
I like I like that. I like people who are like, "Hey, I'm comfortable in my own skin. I'm not trying to please anybody. I'm not gonna go out of my way to disrespect you, but I am who I am." Like, all right, like, I am who I am. So it's like, you know, I don't know. I feel like this. That was the world I grew up in, and then so when I see it now, I feel like I see it more on Twitter, where it's like, hey, like, people don't. I'm used to people not believing what I believe, and so it was natural for me to be like, if you want to joke, man, let's joke, man, because I like let's that's what I like doing. I like ball busting. I like just
I
talking to
can't be,
people.
dude. I can't be friends with someone I can't bust balls with, man. If
Yeah,
I can't like walk up, and just start talking crap about you, your
yeah,
appearance, your weight, and then you bust right back. I mean, then we're not going to be
yeah,
friends. I do that with
yeah,
all of my friends.
yeah.
You know, I've threatened my friends before. Hey, look, if you don't start getting up and going to the gym, I'm going to start sending you dick pics,
Uh
and they may or may
huh.
not be mine.
It's like, all right,
I
man,
mean, it's
all right,
just
like,
the toxic masculinity crap talk between dudes.
hmm
That's how we bond. It's a shit test between men. If you're going to be super soft skinned, then I can't have you in the
yeah,
tribe, man.
yeah. That was one of my things with I'm a church kid, right? But I never liked being around them because it was like, man, I wanna like bust balls and you guys don't, so I'm just gonna go hang out with my football friends because that's what we do,
Yeah.
and
And for everyone in
so
the UK listening, busting balls is the same thing as what you guys call taking the piss. So
taking the piss.
yeah, just so you know, because I've had a bunch of people in the UK go, "What the hell is busting balls? Busting
Yeah,
chops?" Yeah,
yeah, talking trash to each other.
yeah, talking trash.
Yeah. Taking the piss.
Yeah,
That makes no sense.
it doesn't.
Where
Probably makes
where
as
am I?
much sense as busting
It's
balls
busted
too, right?
balls. Yeah. Well, I guess busting balls still, like, it's just like, "Ah, man, you're getting your boy in his nuts and it hurts." Like, all right, that makes
Yeah,
sense. But taking the
yeah.
piss, like, all right, where are we taking it? We're taking it over here. Like, all right.
But no, man, I've never been able to just fake the super politeness to please everyone. I'm like, well, just say what you got to say.
Yeah.
If some people don't like it, well, then those people are not going to like it. But,
Yeah.
you're not doing it to be a dick. But at the same time, you shouldn't live an existence where you're afraid to say what you think. And there's a lot of
Mhm.
people that do that. I had someone on a Zoom call yesterday, and his company does not allow them to have a social media profile on anything, right?
Mm.
This is where he works.
Mhm.
And he's not like some low level dude. He's pretty high up,
Uh-huh.
but he has a like an anonymous profile, right?
Mhm.
And even then, he's like, I have to like kind of alter my speech a little bit so people wouldn't recognize that it's me. You
Yeah.
know, the way that I can't say my catchphrase,
Yeah.
because then everybody knows it's me.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, it sucks. It's gotta suck not being able to say what you think. When
You
I
know what's
worked
in
my 9 to 5, I had so many people come up, and I never had my profile in any way connected to my 9 to 5, because I'm going to say what I'm going to say, but I'm not going to disrespect my company that pays my bills,
Mhm.
right? And have like, oh, I work here,
Yeah.
in my bio. And
That's dumb.
I never mentioned anything about my 9 to 5 other than I'm in automotive manufacturing. I could have been in
Mhm.
Detroit working for
Right.
Ford, right?
Right.
And some people, had Twitter and they came up and they didn't like some of my takes on Twitter. And so they went to HR, and HR came out and, tried to uh, discipline me and tell me that they didn't appreciate what I was saying on social media. And I said, well, there's nothing on my social media that connects me to you in any way. The only people that will make that connection are the people that have the same platform that I don't follow anyway,
Mhm.
that had to have gone looking for me or accidentally came across. Because how often do you happen to be like, oh, this guy that is 5 feet away from me found you on Twitter when there's 330 million accounts,
Yeah.
right? So they either gone looking for me, or they saw my comment on somebody else's thing that they happened to follow as well. They checked it out. They didn't like it. I'm like, but if they don't like it, they can block me and
Yeah.
they can unfollow me.
Yeah.
And
Like I don't get that. Like there's people who are like, yeah, I don't enjoy your content. I'm not gonna comment negatively on your stuff. I'm just not going to
I,
follow or,
I can mute, I can block,
yeah.
And they didn't like that answer at first, but I'm like, you can't do anything to me. I'm not representing the company in any way
Yeah.
on social media.
Yeah.
So you guys are just going to have to get over it, because I'm not going to stop saying what I say.
I'm not giving away trade secrets here about what we're doing here on the
Right.
floor or
And
whatever.
we did have an NDA that we had to sign for the methods and stuff that we use there.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I'm not taking pictures of inside the company and showing pictures of our products, or products in development or the process. I'm not doing any of that. I'm just talking about what I want to talk about. And they
What do you
didn't
think
like
about
it, and they tried to uh, come down on me hard. So I started like pressing hard back, because I'm that guy. If you tell me I can't, and then you try
uh-huh.
to like force yourself,
Mhm.
I'll press back. So I've got a bunch of tweets that I can pull up, and it's like, if you're in my HR department at my 9 to 5 and you're stalking my account, fuck you.
I think I remember that.
Yeah. Like, you don't like it, don't follow me. And they, of course, saw it. And I was like, too bad.
What do you
Uh,
you already had Rugged Legacy at the time, right?
yeah.
How but this is year 1, 2 of you running the Rugged Legacy product in
It was
right?
still within the first year.
Uh, is it making money for you yet, or is like
Oh,
still
dude,
like a little it's a
I
stream?
have nothing to do with Rugged Legacy at this point. I am just the owner. I
Huh?
have a team of employees at my manufacturer building in Utah. We
Uh-huh.
ship from there. The only thing they do is they call me if there's or email me if there's a problem. Now it's
Uh-huh.
just running lucratively. I get paid. The employees are all paid.
Uh-huh. Well, what I'm saying then, so at this time, it's like, hey, like, because that's one of the things that I like a theme that I see now is, as we're now trained to go and take W-2 jobs and work 9 to 5s for these big companies who
Mhm.
can, you know, censor you or say, hey, you know what, like if you want to work here, you gotta watch what you say. Whereas I think if I'm seeing now even more through the whole Rona stuff, that if you had your own small business, you have your own kingdom. It's like, okay, you know what? This is what I want to be open, or I want to be, you're not going to tell me how to run my business. You're going to tell me that these are the stipulations that I have to have. So if we had this, more people, men for sure, but people who were starting their own businesses, I think that now kind of, I would say, decentralizes so much of the power, because I see things being more and more centralized now. It's like, well, if
Well,
and the
yeah, I mean,
Rona
if you
really
look
hit a
at
lot of small businesses. So it's like, if
right,
we had more small businesses, it's like, well, there could be a lot more Ian Smiths per se, who's like, you know what, you're not going to tell me how to do this. Whereas, like, hey, if you work at Fortune 500, you're definitely going to tell me what to do because my paycheck's on the line, and there's nothing else.
yeah,
If
and
I
if you
lose
look at
this,
the
then
way
there's
it
nothing
is
else.
now, so many people are living paycheck to paycheck. And
Mm-hmm.
this is not just from Rona, but
Mm-hmm.
so many people living paycheck to paycheck. But if you look, 20 years ago, people would go, well, screw this. I don't like the conditions here. We're all going to strike. And you get
Mm-hmm.
everybody to organize and they just stop working. Well, you're not making any money until you meet our conditions.
Mm-hmm.
This business will go under.
Mm-hmm.
It's because people had savings accounts and they had, reserve funds. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of it was union where they got paid regardless, right? We're just not going to work. And, the union's taking care of us because we have our right to strike and no one's going to go hungry or homeless. But I'm not a, I'm not a big fan of unions, but they did have their place.
Right.
But now, if the company's just treating people like crap, people go, well, it is what it is. I'll just get
Mm-hmm.
treated like crap because
Mm-hmm.
if I don't, I can't feed my family.
Right.
And I was building, you know, a business so that if the company treated me like crap, I could tell them to kiss my ass and
Mm-hmm.
leave.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted nothing to do with any of that. And while I was hungry for that, I started telling the company that was putting food on my table to kiss my ass while I was there. Uh, and eventually, I made the 250 person list of people that got laid off. It was like, oh, yeah, we're definitely losing this guy. We got to lay off all these people for Rona. So we're definitely losing this guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was one of the ones with tenure, right?
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. But I don't know. They said it was my friend Adam. He's a licensed family therapist. He talks a lot about like attachment disorders and things, and one of those is oppositional defiance disorder. And I was like, I think that's my blood type, bro. Like I think that's my blood type. I can't have someone who's dumber than me lording themselves over me, which is
Mm-hmm.
why I'm so resistant to all this stupid crap about Rona.
Well, yeah, it's like, you're not, if you have a reason, I'll follow if it makes sense, but you're not going to just use your positional authority to order me around, and just because you're basically saying, hey, look, my name's right here. My name has this at the end. I'm gonna do that. It's like, no,
Yeah,
I'm a
you
grown
know,
man. You
I
don't tell me
even
to do
did that with my leaders at my job. I'm like, I'm not allowed to do this, but I do it, and all you do is whine about me doing it. Well, then punish me, write me up, send me home,
it. Hmm.
dock my pay, something. But they never would. I'm like, I can't respect you. I'm like, I can't
Ye-
respect you if you tell me I'm not allowed to do something and I do it in your face and you do nothing about it. Dude, I can't. And so I pushed all of my supervisors. I'm like, just do something.
uh-huh.
If you actually uh, execute your authority and you write me up, or send me home, I'll be like, all right, cool. He did it.
Yeah.
Now,
I
now I
I know
can
my bound.
respect him.
I
Yeah,
know my
now I
boundaries.
can respect him because he stood his ground. But it
Uh-huh.
was you're not. Well, I'm going to keep
Ooh.
doing it because you're
Yeah.
just you're weak and you're soft.
And we know that voice too. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah, you're
you
not
know you
gonna.
can't be doing this because
y-
look, I'm doing it anyway. So either
Yeah.
write me up or shut up. You just never get written up. I'm like, oh,
Hey,
fine.
how are your kids that way too?
Yes.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
was that for you, being on the other end with
I
kids
love
that are
it,
like
man.
you?
I
Yeah.
love it. I
Yeah.
don't I don't like the because I said so parents,
Mm-hmm.
because if because and a lot of parents get pissed off and, well, it's easy for you to say, but for my kids are different. I don't care.
Well,
But
the thing that's dumb about that is like
I want my
you have
kids to
nine.
question authority, even my own, because I don't
Mm-hmm.
want my kids to submit to any authority just because they're authority. Because
Mm-hmm.
what you see now, well, the governor said I have to stay home. Screw him. He doesn't know
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
The
He doesn't care
governor,
about you.
the president said we're going to have a nationwide lockdown. Well, I don't give a crap about the president. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I've never met the man. He's never
He,
sniffed me.
yeah.
You know, I'm going to go over here and keep doing what I want to do. But the president said, I don't care. He
Yeah.
can come personally and punish me, or I'm going to keep doing this.
That's interesting. It's like it's always like how did they do that back in that time over there? Like why did that happen? It's like well we see the conditions. Like yeah, people haven't changed, but the thing with the with kids, it's like man, you have 9 kids. Like what are you gonna tell me about kids that I don't know per se? Right? I have 9 kids that are very different.
Yeah,
Like that works
I've
for
got
that works.
I've got 9 different personalities.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
one of
it's
them's
like
a girl, so that's like another 9 personalities.
I saw that you had posted like when your daughter talks to you and you had like the Jim Carrey gif when he's like going
Yeah,
like she
she
doesn't
can't
stop
sit
moving
still.
around. That's like that's so funny. That's that
Like, she walks up to you and she's like, "Hey, Dad," and she's flossing.
uh-huh.
Like, what? Yeah, I just want to know if I can go outside and ride my bike.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
you
go
can.
ahead. Yeah, yeah,
Go,
exactly.
go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Uh,
I have a kid like that too. It's
yeah,
like
like she
he's
can't
just
sit
got
still.
his fidget. But I'm kind of a fidgeter too. Like I don't know if you noticed, but like I'm like on a swivel chair. So like if you watch myself and fast forward, it's like I don't ever stop. Like my feet are always moving and stuff like that. But man,
Yeah,
that's been like so cool. So you went 7 boys in a row and then a girl, or
and then
8
another
boys and
boy.
then okay, 7 girl boy. Like the
Yeah,
odds of that, it's like what is that? 0.5 times 0.5 times 0.5 times 0.5 times 0.5. It's like that's like almost like mathematically impossible to have.
dude, I still remember when we were because we went and had one of those 4D ultrasounds done.
Hmm.
Where you can like see the full profile of the kid and
Hmm.
whatever. And I was like, all right, we already had a boy name picked out. We were like, at this point, what are the odds we're
That's
getting a
just what I
girl?
do. I make
Yeah,
boys.
I
Yeah,
just make boys, right?
yeah.
And she goes, well, guys, you want to know what the baby is? Sure, it's a
Hmm.
girl. Yeah, we know. Wait, what?
Huh? What?
And I sat there, just kind of in the chair like this for a few minutes. Like, can you say that again? Can you double check?
Hmm.
Because this is, I don't think that's
I've never heard those words before.
like she can't do that. You're like,
Uh
my
huh.
wife can't have girls, apparently. you know? Uh, and she's like, no, it's a girl. I'm looking, I'm like, it's definitely a girl.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, Crap. And so I had no idea what to do. And,
Uh huh.
when you have a girl, that changes your whole life.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've got boys. I can tell them, oh, you're bleeding. Is it arterial? No.
Hmm.
Well, then go play.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
He punched me, punch him back.
yeah.
My daughter comes up now and I'm like, he hit me. Why'd you hit her? Because of this. Oh, well, hit him back.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
you know, because my daughter's rough, man, with,
Well, she
7
has
older
to be.
brothers. She
8
has to be like
brothers.
her entire life is a combat sport,
Mhm.
but
Yeah,
it's still
her husband better
daddy's
be
little
ready,
girl.
man.
Yeah, but it's still daddy's little girl.
Yeah.
It's like she comes up and, in the mornings, give me a hug, Dad. And wrap my arms around her. And she's like, oh, you're warm. I'm just going to stay here forever. I'm like, I hope so.
Yeah. Remember this.
Like, I hope so.
Yeah.
That little girl's got me. But
It's interesting because my oldest, like she's like I've noticed where it's like she was little girl cute, and then it's like now it's like she's becoming like young girl cute. It's like oh no, because my wife is beautiful, so it's like all right, like apple doesn't fall so far from the tree. And it's like oh man, like I can't believe this. Like slow down. So I'll tell her like hey slow down, like slow down. Let's be little a little longer. All right, slow down. Because I mean your oldest, how old's your oldest?
22.
22, right? So it's like they say it flies, and it's like, yeah, 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 whatever. It's like, oh no, like my oldest, like I'm looking at her, it's like, man, I can see how it
Yeah, my
flies.
daughter is going to be 9, and I'm like, this is terrifying. But
Mm-hmm.
thank God we homeschool.
Mm-hmm.
The only boy you're going to prom with is your brother.
This is how we do it in the South. You going to prom with
Yeah,
your brother.
yeah. You have her home by 10 now, boy.
Did
But
you
no,
did you guys homeschool all of them, or was that kind of a
no,
within the last few years?
it was within the last few years. We had a goal of homeschooling all of them because at one point in time, I got 74 phone calls in a single school year from various schools. Because the way the schools are spread out here, you have like the elementary school, and you have
Mm-hmm.
the
Middle
secondary
school.
elementary school, and then you have the intermediate school, and then you have the junior
Oh,
high, and then you have the high. So there's like 7 different
oh, I
schools.
didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at least in this district. It's not like that
Uh-huh.
everywhere. But there's like 7 different friggin' schools. And I'm like, I've got kids at 7 different schools, so I have to remember 7 sets of teachers, and I have to go to 7 different things and meet, respond to 78 different emails and
Mm-hmm.
74 phone calls.
Yeah.
And it was like, it's getting out of hand. Well,
Yeah.
this kid got into a fight. Why? Well, his kid was picking on him. Good. I hope he fucked him up.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the way I always taught my kids. Well, they don't tolerate violence at school. Well, I endorse violence at school if you're being picked on.
Yeah.
I advocate for it. If a kid's bullying you, you beat the crap out of him so bad where he's bleeding from his ear, and he learns that it was a bad idea to pick on you. You
Yeah.
know, that's how you do it. My kids, my teenagers, oh, you guys want to keep fighting and boxing? Because I've heard that before between he's now 17 and now 19, but when they were like, 15 and 16 and 17 years old, still living here, I hear just coming from the wall. My wife's like, oh my God, they're fighting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
they have to establish the pecking order.
Yeah.
They're loaded with testosterone. As long
Yeah.
as they
Yeah.
don't go through the wall or strangle each other with a extension cord, I don't care.
Yeah.
You that's what boys and young men do. That's how they establish a hierarchy of who's going to be in charge. I've gone in there to ask them, "Hey, who's hungry?" And I've seen them like in jujitsu, rear
Yeah.
naked
Yeah. Yeah.
chokes on the floor, and they're like, "Okay, he's turning purple. When he
Yeah.
goes to sleep, I'll let him go."
Yeah. When he
Oh, okay.
taps.
Yeah. And he's over there elbowing him in the ribs, trying to
Yeah.
get loose. I'm like, well, when you guys get done, dinner's ready.
Yeah. Did
You
you
know?
did you put them in any kind of martial arts or boxing or things like that
No,
to help them?
I had trained jujitsu for a while, and I boxed, when I was younger, and so it was like, come on, I'll show you how to do. I mean, they've never been in like traditional martial arts, but I've
Mhm.
always like rolled with them or
Mhm.
um, you know, open hand box with them. My youngest now, he loves it. He's like, I'll just body shot him the way Dad taught me. I'll just body shot him. Like he's 6 and he gets so confused. He's like, I'll just body shot him in the face. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
you can't body shot him in the face.
No.
Like that's not
N
how that works.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
I'll do it.
I'll do it. I'll
Okay.
roundhouse his ass.
But no, I got tired of, all these different phone calls from all these different schools. Well, I'm like, they're boys. And, you know, sadly,
Mhm,
there is the element of racism in some kids.
mhm.
My kids are mixed, they're Hispanic and white. And some of them look like Q-tip white, and some of them
Mhm.
look,
Yeah.
General Zapata Hispanic. you know,
The mustache.
yeah.
Or the mustache. Whoop.
And like a kid wants to make a joke, and I'm like, I'm not going to be like, oh well, these racist white kids. I'm like, no,
Mhm.
just it's a kid who made a joke, and my
Yeah.
son didn't like it, so he punched him in the face for it. We're good.
Yeah.
They boxed, and now they're best friends playing Call of Duty or Fortnite,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
whatever. But it was just a constant thing. I'm like, man, screw this. I'm just going to pull them out of the school district, get them all homeschooled. And our goal was by the end of 2020 to have all of them homeschooled.
Huh.
And then Corona came, and I was like, well, they shut down the schools.
Yeah,
Let's just go
yeah.
ahead and do it all now.
Yeah.
And so that's what we did.
That's interesting, Jack, because that's kind of that was the kind of the same thing. I mean, my kids are, a lot younger than yours, but we had discussed homeschooling, and we had them in charter schools, and we actually liked their schools. It was good, but they were just gone a lot, man. Like they would be, we drop them off, by like 7:50 or 8 in the morning, but you had to wake them up, and then you don't pick them up till 3, but then once you actually like pick them up, pickup is at 3, but you don't get them until 3:30, and then you get home, it's 4 o'clock, and then it's like, okay, let's do your homework now. And
Then eat dinner,
then
then go to bed.
yeah, it's like, okay, well, what if you wanted to go play a sport, go play some sports ball or go do something, right? And it's like, well, now you're going to be gone, for another hour, or you the 2 hours, right? Because it's a 1 hour class and the hour back and forth or whatever.
And
It's
at
like, well,
that
what am
point, you're not parenting your kids at that
yeah,
point.
I'm
You're
just
just
delegating
you're
my kids.
delegating who's going to keep an eye on your kids,
Yeah,
and you're the chauffeur
yeah,
and the night watchman.
mm-hmm.
You're not dad and you're not mom.
And then,
Like,
if all I'm giving them is the weekend, I've been working all week, and not that I have a hard job, but sometimes like, oh man, I want to chill, or I'm a natural homebody, so that like I grew up Mexican, so like if I had fun yesterday, I'm not having fun today. All right. So so that so my kids, it's like, hey, we've been at school all week, and now we want to have fun or play or whatever, but daddy's like, well, we we went to Peter Piper's yesterday, so we're not doing anything today. We're staying home. Be bored. Go. But it was just a big thing, and it's like, oh, I knew that my kids were going to grow up, and I could feel that they were growing up fast already. And I was like, well, if we can homeschool them, and then just the way it was work. Like my son was in kindergarten, like on Zoom calls. It's like this kid has a hard time in class. He's bored. Like I'm gonna put him in front of the computer. Like he's gonna lose his mind. So we made the decision to homeschool, and it was cool because it was like, uh, everybody's in school. Well, guess what? We're gonna go travel. Like, school just started this week here for us, but we're going to Yellowstone in 2 weeks. It's like, and then
yeah,
so my wife is doing like a chapter or like a unit study on Yellowstone. The kids are reading books about Yellowstones, and then now we're gonna go to Yellowstone. But everybody else would be in school, but we're that's where we're taking our kids. It's like, man, how cool is that? Like, I wish I could have done that as a kid. Like going
yeah.
to Yellowstone, man.
The cool thing about it, is you spent 6-7 hours a day in school, you know, as a kid, and then you see them doing the same thing. But when you homeschool them, like, you're done in 3 hours.
Hmm.
It makes you realize that all the rest of the crap was just filler and transition time between
Hmm.
classes, and wait the 37 minutes for Timmy and Jenny to put their mats up back in the cubbies and
Hmm.
finally sit down and shut up to do a different subject.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's why they're there at school for 7 hours a day. But here it's like, okay, here we do this, you're done. We start at 9, you're done by 12. Eat
Yeah.
some lunch. You might have one or two things you got to finish up before we're completely done. But overall, they've done 3.5 to 4 hours worth of work, and it's spaced out, and they never had to get out of their pajamas if you didn't want them to,
Hmm.
you know. Or, well, you want to just go and play for a little while because you can't sit still, go play,
Yeah.
run some laps around the house, ride the dog, whatever, and
Hmm.
then, come back in sweaty, tired. We'll wipe the sweat off your face. You'll focus on this last little task, and then you're done for the day. Go play again.
I think one of the cool experiences that we had was, my daughter kind of like set up a little like crafts table thing, and then she just kind of went outside in the front on her own with her friend, and they just like set up their little, it wasn't a lemonade stand, it was just like a little craft stand that they, because she makes little trinkets and stuff like that. It's like that, like, look, my kid is learning entrepreneurship right now. Like how cool is that? She made money, and she was like stoked, man. Like, you know people will see like a kid with the lemonade stand now, or them doing anything kind of like entrepreneurial, and they'll come and just slap $20, just like, hey, we're just happy that you're out here, kid. Like, and it's like so cool, because I'll do the same thing too. I was like, that's one of the reasons I like to kind of carry cash now too. It's like, hey, if I see a kid selling some cookies, like, hey, here's a $20 for your cookie, kid. Like, let's fight it, because it was, I saw what it did for my daughter. She like, now she wants to, like, oh, like, maybe now we can set up a table at the park, and like, can I have some more money? It's like, no, you use your money to buy some more crafts and things like. And it's like, they wouldn't have learned this stuff in school.
Right.
This is the whatever seed has been planted, it's like it's been planted young. And
Yeah, that's like
like
my 16-year-old. He was learning forex trading last year
man, that's crazy.
because he just
Yeah.
wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, oh, where else are you going to find a 15-year-old learning how to trade forex?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And like he's like, oh, I want to learn marketing. Well, cool. I can run you through some stuff.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
written about marketing.
Yeah.
I do marketing for a living. So yeah, come on. And that went into one of his elective slots.
Uh-huh.
You know,
Do you help them with their ideas? Do they come to you like, hey dad, I'm thinking about doing this thing, and then do they pick your brain, or is it like, hey, that's dad? Um, I'd rather hear it from somebody else. Because it's like sometimes it's like, hey,
it's always I'd rather hear it from someone else
mm-hmm,
until they see it not work out so well for the older
mm-hmm,
ones.
mm-hmm,
My 17-year-old is getting ready to graduate basic training in what's today, the 4th.
uh-huh.
So he's graduating in
No,
8.
is it the fourth? Yeah, it's the
Yeah,
fourth. Yeah,
so he's
yeah.
graduating basic training in 8 days,
Mm-hmm,
right? And I went to basic when I was 17, right?
mm-hmm.
And I told him exactly how it was going to be. No, 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 Dad, it's different now. It's different now. Well, I've got a stack of letters from him telling me you were right about this, you were right about that, and I read them out loud to
uh-huh.
everyone. See, Dad does know what he's talking
Yeah,
about,
yeah.
you know. And they're like, okay, well, I guess I'll ask Dad. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I guess you should ask Dad.
yeah,
Dad's done this, and so if they want, hey, how can I make money online? I got you. Let's go.
yeah. Got you. You're my
Here's how you
boy.
do it, and here's how you start. And oh, you want to do some freelancing? Let's get you on Upworks.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can build out a profile because you're a talented artist, or you know, all my kids are like geniuses with computers and software and crap, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, I don't know how to do that, but I know how to sell it. So let's go.
Yeah, yeah.
And
No, that's good.
my kids, doesn't have a job, but every other day he's like, hey, I got another $200. Cool.
From
He's like,
working on Upwork.
yeah, just from doing whatever. Like one kid makes like $300-400 a week just from Fortnite tournaments. So I'm like, dude, I don't care
What?
how you. Yeah, I'm like, I don't care how you make money. If you make money, I don't try to teach my kids. Well, you have to go and work this super hard job. I don't care what you're doing if you're earning, right?
Mm-hmm.
As long as it's not like hand jobs under the bridge.
Yeah, yeah.
That's where I'll draw the line. But if you're earning and you're having a good time earning and you can pay for everything you got to pay for by playing a freaking video game, well, then I don't care. Go do it. Money spends from that just like it spends from a 9 to 5.
Well, what's interesting is that I think I might have had a hard time with that because I'm from the old parent. Like, hey, you go over here, you work a job, and if it sucks, probably that's probably good because it's sucking is probably good. So you can deal with the sucky job. But I think with the social media thing has opened it up, like where people can make money off of that, and it's such a surreal thing to me. Like I don't make very much money off of it, but that I see what people are doing, and it's like wow, like we live in this incredible time, and I think I still kind of have the old mindset still of like, hey man, like the secure job, whereas like you have the Wild West or the frontier of what's like playing video games, man, is making money. Like that was
Yeah,
a waste of time.
it
That was a
was.
waste of time.
That's like why I was almost a 5-year high school student with video games and skipping class.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm pretty sure
but
it was the skipping class part. The video games, maybe,
well,
maybe not.
if I skipped because I was up all night playing a video game or
Oh, yeah,
something,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But no, I mean, I don't care. I want my kids to be tough and resilient, but I don't
Hmm.
want them to have to go through, oh, I worked, 40 hours a week at like a slave driver job,
Hmm.
and it sucked when there's something I can do with freedom. That was my entire goal of getting out of the damn factory, right?
Hmm.
I wanted the freedom to stay home. I'm not wearing pants now, you know?
I barely wear pants. That's why I
Yeah,
have 9 kids.
I haven't been required to wear pants. Um, but no, it's at first it was like, well, no, they're going to have to go and do this hard thing. Well, they do other hard things because I'm like, well, you have to earn it, right?
Mhm.
And if you can't, like my son, 17-year-old, you want a car? Well, guess who had to come to me with all of the money for that car?
Mhm.
Guess who had to pay me every single month for his car insurance? He was on my
Mhm.
policy, but he's paying his portion
Mhm.
because my car insurance is $92 a month. When I added him, it was 392
Yeah,
bucks a month.
yeah, yeah,
I was like, well, guess who's going to give me 300 bucks a month
yeah.
for your car? I don't give them anything. They have to earn what they get. But if they can earn it through creative means or whatever, well, then earn it. People go, well, that's going to make your kids soft. No, it isn't, because I'm a hard ass anyway.
Mhm.
I'm that guy. Well, if you don't pay your portion of the cell phone bill, I turn your phone off until you're done,
Yeah.
until you pay it back. And people act like that's, you know, well, you're the dad, you should just give it to them. No, no, they're going to have to earn, because no one's going to give them anything. If they signed up for a sport or said they wanted it and all of a sudden it's hard and they want to quit, I don't care. You'll finish the entire
Yeah.
season whether you
Yeah.
want to or not. And that's the way I did it with them. Um, oh, well, today it's going to be a training day, so we're going to go outside and we're going to fill up the wheelbarrow with cinder blocks, and you're going to walk like farmers walk that wheelbarrow around the yard back and forth, or you're going to do wind sprints. You're going to do the hard things. Kids are jumping in the ice bath. You're
Oh,
going
you
to
have
do.
them going there with you too?
Oh yeah. And you're going to do things you don't want to do that make you uncomfortable and are hard.
Mhm.
Oh, you don't like having to reach out to someone and try to sell them your service on Upwork or Fiverr or whatever. Well, you're going to reach out to 40 people today just because it sucks.
Mhm.
Do things that make you uncomfortable, get you out of your comfort zone. Some people don't think that's the same thing, but everything's harder in your head than it is in reality, whether it's going to the gym every day or cold outreach with a DM or an email to a potential prospect or client or whatever. It's still mentally taxing. It's still hard and scary, right? Especially if you're not comfortable with it.
Mhm.
So I make them do those things.
Were you always that way? As far
Yeah.
as like you, because the thing is with you is you're I don't see you asking your kids of something that you haven't asked of yourself, right? Because that's leadership. It's like one thing to be like, hey, go take an ice bath, where like you're taking this nice warm hot shower, eating cookies. It's
No,
like
I mean,
no,
it didn't come out as like you're getting in the ice tub. It was like,
no, no, no. I'm
I
just saying as
dare you
far
to
as like,
get in here.
no, what I'm saying is the being uncomfortable, because it's now you have to. I've talked just with Stephen Marsh about this. Like now you have to look for discomfort, because things are so comfortable now that you have to look for discomfort. And now we've kind of comforted ourselves up where it's like we're just as an overall theme, like liberty is uncomfortable. Like people don't want it because it's not safe anymore. But you've intentionally, I see you intentionally going into uncomfortable situations. Where you always kind of built like that? Like, because I know like the cross country runners, like like, hey, you can push yourself pretty hard. Was that something that was always there, or is it something that you have like realized and now are like, oh, I am now intentionally cultivating I'm gonna do things that suck, and I know, because I know that's gonna there's gold on the other side of suck, in
I don't know if I
in
was
other ways.
always like that, but I've
Mm-hmm.
always had like this chip on my shoulder, right? I'm 5'7". I
Mm-hmm.
weigh 155 pounds, give or take, whether I went to the bathroom or not. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, give or take. I've always been this smaller guy. And so I've always had this chip on my shoulder because I did get picked on as a kid. Well, he's small, he's weak. Well,
Mm-hmm.
guess who's deadlifting 3 times his own body weight now, bro?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's always been that thing. Like, it sucks. And then I see other people doing it and I go, I bet I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Or I wonder if I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, I don't care if it's going to result in an injury, I'm going to do it. I ended up with like a mild case of hypothermia because I saw someone spent like 25 minutes in an ice bath. And so I went on Instagram Live and did a 28-minute video of just trying to make it to 20 minutes. And I'm
Uh-huh.
just sitting there in a tub of ice. I had like 112, 115 pounds of ice in that damn thing. And I'm
Uh-huh.
just shivering, and I get out, my toes are purple.
Oof. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I sat there for 28 minutes and did it,
Yeah.
right? Like now I'm like, I'm going to get it done, even if it results in an injury or a failure or I lost a limb.
Mhm.
You know, it's something I've always kind of had to do, right? You have to, people always underestimate the small guy and or they always accurately estimate the small guy as, yeah, he's just going to be the small guy, right?
Yeah.
And then, my kids, they got my dad's genetics, and because my dad was a big guy. My mom was super small and her brothers were super big. And, my kids got like, I have older brothers that are like 6'5", like
Oh,
200,
really?
235 pounds. And we look exactly alike, except I'm
Yeah.
like the mini me version,
Yeah. The Tom
like,
Cruise version?
yeah, like you can't tell, it's Jason Statham standing next to Tom Cruise, except we look exactly alike.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, well, this sucks,
Yeah.
And some of my kids are taller than me and broader than me and wider
Uh-huh.
than me. And I'm like, well, you're still going to be, you know, short
Yeah. Yeah.
compared to everyone else. Just because you're 5'9" doesn't mean you're not short,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and it's just been this chip on my shoulder. I'm like, my kids have gotten picked on for being short and small. I'm like, well, bust them in the teeth,
Mhm.
you know, show them that, you can handle yourself. And
Yeah.
now it's kind of like something I need to prove to myself. I can make this online business work
Mhm.
because I've got so many people that just go, well, you were almost a 5-year high school student. You can't do that.
Mhm.
You know, um, my goal is 500-pound deadlift. I'm really close to a 500-pound deadlift at a 155-pound body weight.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I can do it. Will I do it even if it results in me, shoving my spinal erectors out of my ass? Yeah, I'll do it. You know, I still did it. I'll just have to spend 6 months healing, but I did it.
Yeah. That reminds me, like, of this story that I heard. It's just like one of those made up stories, but it was like these two brothers. They would always swim out and see who could swim the farthest. And the older brother always beat the younger brother, and the younger brother was just like pissed, like, oh, I'm always losing, I'm always losing, I'm always losing, I'm always losing. And then finally one day they race out, because they would race out, right, and you have to swim back.
Yeah, they
So that
have to
was the
leave
point. Like,
something in the
yeah,
tank.
yeah, you have to leave and have enough to come back. And then one day, the younger brother just blows him away and beats him. And then when they finally come back, it was like, how did you beat me this time? And the younger brother was like, I wasn't planning on coming back.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, all right, man. Like like, yeah, you might have more talent, you might be smarter than me, you might be physically fit, bigger, whatever than me,
I'm
but
prepared to destroy everything to win.
yeah. And so that's the rugged legacy. I think that's a perfect wrap up here, man. I think that's you're 5'8", man, but
Seven. Don't
you
get don't feed my ego. I'm five
oh, don't
seven.
feed. You're a Steven Story five
Oh,
six.
like yeah. Steven Story 5'6". There we go.
Hey, man, but it's been a pleasure speaking to you, Jeff. This is Jeff Putnam. He's a fitpreneur, author of Empire Divided and The Perimeter, also a fellow wifosexual. You can find him on at rugged_legacy on Twitter and Instagram. His website is jeffputnamauthor.com and the Perimeter podcast as well. Jeff, thanks so much for doing this, man. I've been looking forward to this for a long time.
Yeah, man, this was fun. We got to do it again.
All right, brother. Take care.